Another week or so.
Okay. And would you, read the rules of conduct for a hybrid meeting?
Sure, Kelly. This is a Financial Planning and Allocation Commission special meeting with a budget workshop, Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. And a hybrid public meeting. The public can attend in person or electronically. The public may view the video recording of the meeting on YouTube at Town of Columbia CT. Please allow approximately 48 hours after the meeting for the video to be published. For public input before the meeting, email your comments to publicinput@columbia.org prior to 24 hours before the meeting. Commissioners and staff will remain unmuted except when speaking or voting and will generally be keeping the videos on themselves on throughout the meeting. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of staff or the chair.
Should I wait for Jen to come back? I hate to. Okay, well, we'll call to order at 7:04. Those who are able, please join me for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so everyone has received a copy of the minutes of our last meeting from March 26th. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Does anyone have questions, comments, concerns, changes, anything related to the minutes? Is there a motion?
We accept the minutes from last meeting.
Dick moved and
I
Sarah
second.
seconded, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. All right, so we will jump right into our discussion of the budget workshop. We have some updated information. Do you want to tell us what the updated information is before we get into this?
Sure, so after the minutes, you'll see there's a special town meeting scheduled for April 15th at 6:30 PM, right before the board of selectmen meeting. And clause 1 will be voting on a general fund transfer that I talked about last meeting, which was to transfer $225,000 to the town of Columbia capital account for box culvert replacements, so we can pull the box culvert, two slip lines out of next year's capital and start them now. So we have to have that money funded, which will repay ourselves with LoSiP, but it has to be funded in order to apply to the state to use LoSiP. Is that correct?
Has to be fully funded and approved.
Okay,
Right, so that'll start that process. And then we're transferring 39,000 to facilities. To cover repairs done in many of our buildings. And plumbing. And then clause 3, if this is a correction being made to the ordinance that defines eligibility for our tax abatement with firefighters. And after 25 years, even if, once they qualify for 25 years of active service, each of those 25, you've qualified for the requirements. Even if you don't qualify, you don't have to retire to get your tax abatement, because it's perpetual after that. So we just have to fix that word.
okay,
And then you go to your budget. You'll see the 2 changes, and actually want to jump to this pull out right behind the budget. The 2 changes we talked about last meeting, we moved the 263,000 out of box culvert replacement, so that's now 0 for next year.
okay,
So that'll move, and also we moved, you look further down, under HVAC improvements, we reduced that fund by 200,000. That 200,000 go back in the general fund,
okay,
on July 1st with the budget process.
okay,
So the net effect there is to actually reduce the capital request by 21,477. over last year.
Okay, okay.
So that's,
And the Board of Selectmen voted on this at the
Yes.
meeting and approved it?
improved it last night,
Perfect.
right?
Okay, so that's a net, almost $500,000 increase to the budget, a decrease to the budget from the original proposed, with 467. Okay. That's good, thank you.
Multi-talented.
That's a,
Beverly, is there anything else to bring forward, Steve, on your document here?
No, that's it. The changes you requested last week, you made them and. So
Okay.
see if you're gonna accept those changes, I think you just have the motion to accept, or unless you're gonna do any further changes to the board of selectmen.
We'll sort that.
Or board of ed, yeah.
So right now, we're at a mill rate of, that was,
30.69.
no, it's not 6 now.
On the last page. Yeah,
Oh, flip the whole thing.
30.6.
30.69.
There are no changes, it's
I
34.
thought it was, I saw 5, 7, I mean, still there. I must look for something else.
and that's the increase you're looking at.
And also go from 28.2 to 31.5.
Okay, so we're 30.69 without any reliance on general fund.
okay. All right, so I think that's what,
Oh, I know, I think it was the mill rate increase up, so, yeah.
and has the undesignated fund numbers been updated at all, or are they the
They're the same
same
as last
as what we have in our book? And so,
Yeah, what you see on the budget document is the same as last week on the undesignated fund balance, nothing has been updated. So I think the other thing you have to do tonight is you're gonna if we accept what the board of selectmen approved last night. Or if you're gonna motion any other changes between the budgets presented, which is board of ed capital or selectmen, and then you also have to decide whether you wanna talk about using the undesignated fund balance, or you can wait till after the public hearing in a couple weeks to go to that.
I know that's one of 3.5.
I just wanna see what the fund looks like, I'm trying to find that. And
It's-
The amount, it's on this page here, and the amount is 3,920,000.
Right there.
Is that all of the data about what percent it represents? That's all the last paper.
Last page, thank
That's what I'm looking for. Oh,
you. Well.
18
General fund.
Page 7.
Where are you? Here it's 39. Total available fund balance 3920.
doesn't tell us what percentage it is of the, because we have a target to be absolutely no less than 15%. So
18.87,
it's 18.87.
yeah, on the last page.
You know, we've gone below. Actually, I've been involved in town government for over 20 years. And there were times where the percentage went down as low as 7%. I don't think there's a rule.
There is now.
There
There's
is
about,
We're very close,
we're very, because, I think as I presented, oh no,
because is it a town rule or a state rule?
we.
Town policy.
It's a
Town
town
policy.
policy.
Town
Your
policy?
your subcommittee, policy subcommittee has been working on the policies to put us in the appropriate place to go out to them.
Okay.
And one of the requirements, is that you have a plan for managing your fund balance, so it just doesn't, you know, blow all over the place, or is it subject to, you know, different personalities on people's comfort with risk, all those kinds of things. You have to have a range that's acceptable. So now, we're proposing, and we've given this out twice, a range for the fund balance, so we can't go to 7.
Is that a proposed thing or is it a rule?
It's proposed,
It's
but
proposed.
doing this so we can prepare ourselves to get bonding. It's not,
We need this in order to get a bond,
Right.
so they require this of us to have a bond.
It
and we want to
increases
show-
your
Yeah,
rating.
correct.
Yeah, no, and I recognize
right.
that.
So
Well-
7 would be out of the question, but, the range,
What's the range that you're proposing,
13 to 17.
13.7?
No,
13
13
to-
to 7.
Is that 13?
So
to
anywhere
17?
between 13 and 17 is considered.
13 to 17.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, looking around at other, we did all of, looking around at other towns and seeing what percentages they use and so. So, as I said, we did 2 drafts, and we have one more, we have to revisit, the committee has to revisit one more time, and we'll propose formally for FiPAC's approval, and then go with that.
What, and do that next Wednesday?
Yeah.
No, the subcommittee. Subcommittee next Wednesday, so we can get something out of the
Okay.
early.
And what's the total budget number?
Total budget requirement for next
18,
year.
132 is the total budget,
What are you talking?
all the, for everything, capital and Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen.
On the last page, it says total general fund requirement. Plus the default also include transfers out is 20,779,470.
Nah, which is always dangerous.
So this is
That's everything.
everything,
This is general fund.
but taxes raised 17,669.
17 million.
17.
So the general fund comparison would be, with the 3.9 divided by the 20 million, to get an 18.87%.
Right, that's the math I was doing, but I'm trying to do an adjustment for. We reduced the general fund, so.
You wanna see what the number is gonna be if I have my computer, so you want me to put a number out.
How about if we were to bring the percentage down to 14.5? Use the difference between the 18 where we are now. How much will we be pulling out of the general fund if we wanted?
I was thinking, yeah, I was doing it the reverse, which was trying to take out 800 and.
Yeah, we just gotta,
She'll
do it.
Yeah.
like 1.4, 1.5? 4%.
Yeah.
3.92.
Well, that would still leave us in a good bonding position.
Usually they average about 15% for about, the bank encourages you to be around.
So my fundamental concern is I don't want us to go too low, but I am willing to take more out of the undesignated fund this year than we ordinarily would, because I believe the Board of Education is gonna have significant excess that will return to the fund in July. Because they got extra money that they hadn't budgeted for, which they're estimated, I think the last meeting was like 300, between 200 and 300, somewhere in that range. That you had not anticipated as revenue coming in because you got extra grants. So if all that money does come back into the general fund, I'm okay going below the 15, like maybe going to 14. Knowing that some of that money is gonna come back. But that's a leap of faith on our part that the school won't magically find something to spend that money on before the end of the year that wasn't in budget. So that's what I'm struggling with, trying to figure out whether we're,
So if you took 800,000 out, brought it down to 3,100,000, that'd be a 14.9%.
yeah, that's what I did too.
Okay, so we were about and I don't know, these are the numbers from prior to that, 470, we were about 1.95 underwater, 1,950,000 short. And that was what you originally proposed for the 3.38 mil increase. If we got 460 out of that, now it's less than 1,000,005 that we have to make up. And if we want to split that 1.5 between the general fund and the tax increase, then it wouldn't be that much really being taken out of, that would be 1.5750 each.
Yeah.
That's 1 mil, that's 1 mil each.
800,000 out.
Yeah,
800,000 out
So
of
it's-
it brings us down to 14.9%.
so that's, and that's the 15 that Bev was looking for. And that would only be a 1 mil.
Right.
Increase.
And that's what I'm looking, we're right around 1.1.
Yeah.
Which is what I was
One in
looking
smaller
for.
digits.
Yeah.
I would definitely buy. We would throw-
Cause I mean, we have to raise taxes because the town need, I mean, the board of
Okay.
selection just needs so much with the road.
It's the infrastructure issue.
Right, and I don't wanna ask the school to reduce any further because they clearly did.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yeah, I'm not, I
Yeah,
mean, when we're talking big numbers, I'm not gonna ask them to find 100 grand somewhere. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Barbara, ask her to put her last name in so we don't get Zoom bombed.
I think it's.
yeah, so just take a minute while they fix this.
Identifiers on. Should ask them.
Hey Karen, can you identify yourself for the meeting, please? Or your last name?
She's muted.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Zoom bomb.
Don't get bombed.
Oh, you don't want that to happen.
No.
No, that was bad.
What?
It was pretty bad a
Really?
couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible.
It was filthy. It was filthy.
Oh, my God.
All right, Karen, hello.
Yes, it's her.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We can calm down.
Okay.
We know, nothing exciting.
So as I was saying, I don't wanna ask the school to reduce their budget any further. I do want a commitment that they will not. That they will make every effort to return the excess funds that were. Over budgeted because of the excess grants, will come back into the general fund to replenish it if we take out the full 820. So it would be more like taking out the equivalent of 1 mil as opposed to close to 2. But I think we're in pretty safe waters. If that money comes back, it'll get us back to the 15%. So I think we'll be in a good position. So I would propose, absent anything else, taking 820 out of the undesignated fund, leaving the 2 budgets as they are, as amended by the Board of Selectmen. And using 820 from the undesignated fund, which would get us to about a 1.1% mill increase
And it leaves us close to the 15%.
and close to
That
50.
that was
In the fund that we really want to keep,
Yeah.
right, because that's important,
just for the good bond rating.
yeah,
I agree with
and if we
you.
can get a little higher,
I
that's good.
agree with that. I think that's a good way, a middle ground way of handling this.
Yeah, spread the pain out a little bit. Bev, do you have access to the numbers that you can make sure we're not making it up when we say those things that that we are close to the 50% that it is 1.1?
I put the 820. Yeah, 820, and it brings your mill rate down to 29.27, which is a 1.15 increase of 4.10%. That's in the general fund will be about 16.7 right now.
Percent.
Yep,
15.7,
16.
16.7, okay.
Higher than I thought.
We're almost 19.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
Yeah, we
right.
wanted,
Wait,
are
what?
you sure?
But it says.
We were just at 15.8.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that,
You know,
We made that up.
and then we took, and then we
No,
took.
no, no, the other was 18.9,
Almost
1887, almost
18.9,
Yeah.
so if we take out 8, what?
1820, that seems
So
like
the
too
next
much.
line, the next line was 20% available fund balance to the general fund requirements. If the town opts not to use the general fund, so if you put in 820, it drops it down to 16.7. That makes sense to me.
Okay. I thought it would be a little bit lower than that, but that's okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well,
Wait,
but 16.7%. You could take more.
Yeah.
I would take more, but I don't know.
No, but it's so,
you don't need to take more, but like, it's just.
Yeah, you could bring it to 1 million,
1 point mill rate is,
you could bring it to
is
something.
almost a gift.
Yeah.
This environment,
102,
In this.
absolutely, you know,
722 minus 8.
and it's
It's never
keeping.
great to do their calculators,
Keep
but.
it in the-
I just.
when I
Board
do
of
that
Ed.
myself, I do it.
Divided by
This number.
20.
What you're not here.
So are we at 18 or are we at 20?
Maybe your formula is not.
You mean the percentage
What
right
did you
now?
divide by?
So I
Yes.
took 820 out of 3,920,
That's what
Yeah,
I.
let them.
which gave us 3,100,722.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then divided by 20,779,470. And I get percentage of 14.9.
Yeah,
That's
which is,
14.9 is where we wanted to.
which is what we want it to be at, which
Right.
Yeah.
it's slightly more than we wanna be, but it's okay if we get money back.
Yeah.
at the end of the
So
year.
where's the 6?
I think her formula's wrong, let her figure it out.
Okay.
It's probably wrong, just move on. I don't accept it. I'm not gonna.
Cause if you're wrong, and if we're wrong, and you're right, then
It's
it's
better.
way better. So, we're saying worst case
Worst
scenario.
case, we're at 14.9.
Okay.
Well, she'll just keep the difference.
That's all right, you're allowed. Does anybody have any questions? Thoughts on this? Is there a motion?
You put it all together, you should make the motion.
Okay, I move that we accept the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education budgets as proposed and modified last night by the Board of Selectmen and the capital budget as well. And that we remove $820,000 from the undesignated fund to be allocated to reduce the mill rate.
I second the motion.
Oh my God.
And we have it recorded, so. you can watch it again.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Oh, Dick seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous consent, motion carries.
Awesome.
So do we need to do anything, other about calling the town meeting, or is that just gonna happen? We don't need to vote on that, do we?
I think we already have. We'll have to. We'll have to do a legal notice for a public hearing on the 23rd. And then we'll be setting a town meeting for May 13th. So I think. The public hearing, is that, who sets that? Is that FiPAC or the Board of Selectmen?
That's a
Board of Selectmen.
David,
We don't have to move, we don't have to have a motion to do that.
It's no, because I.
423.
Just voting it to public hearing, that's it.
That's gonna be wild, so.
And so that's, do we need another motion to move this budget to the public hearing?
Why don't you just do
Why don't we do that?
I will motion that we move the budget to public hearing.
I
for
second.
the 16th at 7 P.M.
With the 16th at 7 p.m.
No, 23rd, is that?
23rd at 7 p.m.
Correct.
I second that.
23rd.
Judy seconds.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, perfect.
And then for second.
Sorry.
But these will come.
You can do that.
You can do it.
All right, so any further budget workshop discussions, or can we move on?
May I,
Yes.
I can promise everyone in this room, as long as I am the superintendent, I will never sneak money to be spending without being open and transparent. I will never do.
Thank you, Barb. And thank you again. Clearly you guys worked hard on the budget this year, and I can tell there were places where you found there was a little extra and you shaved it, so we can see that, so we very much appreciate that. All right,
Can I just thank everybody for the collaboration on this budget this year too?
yes, thank you. Yeah,
oh,
absolutely. Anyone else? Anyone else on the screen? Having, okay. Great. So we're done. We're gonna move on to financial policies.
And
So,
we were gonna meet again, so I didn't hand out anything.
Right, yeah, because we haven't brought together the last version we
As a
sent you
subcommittee,
with your changes and comments, so.
so I would call to table the discussion of the financial policies until our next meeting. I'll move for that, we'll table it. Does anyone second? Anyone have discussions? The issue is that we don't have the paperwork available yet. It's not quite complete, so we should not discuss it until we have all paperwork, right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about that? All those in favor of tabling? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. Motion carries. Okay, transfers. Go ahead.
Okay, there are 4 transfers tonight. The first one is for $1,900 to take from the IT professional tech line and add it to the equipment line. We are trying to start buying equipment that's needed for some departments, as well as get ready for the Microsoft 11 conversion.
Okay.
A lot of our computers are not capable for that conversion, so we had to we're buying a bunch of laptops, so, and adding memory on it.
But that's just within the budget.
Yes.
It's not coming out of.
Nothing's
contingency.
coming into, none of these are contingencies.
Great.
Next two are, to get funds into electricity lines that have gone over budget. There could be additional transfers based on the rates and stuff. We've gone up 5 lines, so I'm moving about 6,700 from, it's the administration electricity line and also the street lighting line that seem to have extra funding in there, so it's just shifting to like the chapel, public works, rec department, history place to cover those lines, hopefully get to the rest of the year. And the last one is for $1,440. The RRBs has some required training. And so they needed additional funding to cover that training, and we're taking it out of the election working salaries. And then on the bottom, it's just a notation of the 2 general fund transfers that are gonna be done on the 15th.
Okay. So that, those are just all information going to the town. Yes, okay. Does anybody have questions about the transfers? There a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the transfers as presented.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Perfect. Our next meeting is public hearing, because I don't think we have any special budget discussions to have, so we're done with our special budget workshops. Next meeting will be at the public hearing, and then FiPAC will have a meeting right after, and then the town meeting will be May 13th.
Your regular April has been canceled because we've been moved.
Right, in lieu of the April 20th meeting.
Right.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
And we're doing that at 7:32.
Okay, so.
That might be a record, by the way.
Particularly for this.
Yeah, that's, this is like the first, like, you know, this was a nice, smooth.
Yeah.
I was worried about this one. It was like-